Okay, so first thing we're going to do is look at the two different newer light kits that we have. And we're going to go through how to put up the stands and how to properly open the lights and how to properly close the lights. So follow me. So if you could look down there, Jamie, you see on this light kit, it has a name there. It says DV55. Do you see that? Yeah?
Yes, Carolyn, we see that.
Fantastic. And then there is another light kit over here, and it is DV901. And this is the light kit we're going to open up because it's a little bit more challenging to pack, but they both have the same exact light kits in them, or the same exact lights in them. So, you always want the what would these be called, Brittany? The loops?
Latches.
The latches pointing up. So, and here's the light kit. First of all, you'll see 3 light stands. When you go to open up the legs, you definitely want to loosen this and pull. And you can see that you could set these completely flat. The problem with setting these completely flat is that it's really easy to hit with your foot. And if you hit it with your foot, you're going to pull down the whole light. So we like to set it up so that they're just so that they're just a little bit up off the floor. The other thing is if you set them completely flat, you're not going to get a lot of height out of your light. So this is the way we like to set them up. Okay, so there's a light stand. There are 3 of them. So come hither, Jamie. All right, so as you can see, there are 3 lights in here. 250. Notice how it is packed in here. The lens is towards the inside of the light kit. So there's the lens, and it's towards the inside of the light kit. Do not put the lens towards the outside of the light kit. We're trying to protect the lens and the light, so we want to keep it like this. This is the 500. Again, notice the lens is towards the inside of the light kit, not the outside. We want to protect the light, so that's why it's towards the inside. And then this is our total light. This is the 750 light, and you'll see that the barn doors are closed to kind of protect the lamp there. But again, lay it lamp up, not lamp down. We always want to keep those lamps, those lights, towards the inside of the case to protect them better. Okay, so we'll start out with the 250, which is right here. And you can see, hopefully y'all can see, that the way this fits in here is that this stem folds down. But in order to attach it to our light stand, we have to fold it up. Don't just grab this and pull. It does have a knob to loosen it. So we want to loosen that knob and pull it up like that. So now it's ready to be connected to the light stand. So let's go ahead and do that. Whoops. So it's connected to the light stand. Hopefully one of you guys can see the knob here. We want to turn that to tighten it so that it's on that light stand pretty tight. Now, I'm going to spin this so y'all can see here. This has a flood spot control on it. Y'all see that? Brittany, what's the difference between flood and spot?
Spot will direct the light exactly onto it, and flood is more non-directional.
Right. So if I'm shooting something and I feel like, oh my gosh, I've got so many zebras on that person's face, it's way too bright, I can change the light by moving it, increasing the distance. That's one way that I can reduce it, but a really easy way is just to turn this towards flood. So the more I turn it towards flood, the less intense the light's going to be, which is really nice.
So this one don't have the barn, what, yeah, it's got the
Yeah, it's got the barn doors. Now the reason why I picked this light kit, which I haven't done this on the other one, there's only one way these will close and fit into the light kit. And it used to be like a big puzzle for me, and it would take me like 20 minutes to get it closed. So I have numbered them. See, there's a little number 4 there. 3, 2, 1. So when you close it back up, you need to do it in this order. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you don't, they don't fit right and they bend. So these are the barn doors. And you can see that you can pull them out if you want to have a bigger area to kind of flag off or barn door off. So we can pull them out. These also can reduce to kind of a triangle, which then allows us to really barn door this down and really, control just a pinpoint of light. It's not really a pinpoint, but it is a small swash of light. So this is the 250. Barn doors. Is this a spot or a floodlight?
Flood.
Well, it's really a spotlight.
Well, right now.
Usually you can tell a spotlight if it's got the barn doors, And this has a lens, so it's not a Fresnel lens, but it does have a lens over top of it, which does diffuse the light a little bit more. But the only other thing, you got a bunch of different knobs here. So you got this that controls the spot and flood. You've got this that controls the tilt. So this right here, remember we had this, when it was in the light kit, we had it folded up. But if we're using this as a backlight, obviously we're not going to want the head like that. We're probably going to want to tilt the head down. Once you have it tilted down, then tighten it. I noticed that the other kit, this is not holding very well. It's because people are moving this without loosening this. You've got to loosen these locks or you'll strip them and they won't work anymore. So loosen to bend the head. Yes?
Even though that is a spot, can you use it for back?
This is a good backlight. Yeah, but it's still, fairly
That's what I'm saying.
directional.
If you're going to use that as a backlight, you need to put it set up more like a flood instead of a spot, right?
Well, usually our backlights are spotted.
Okay.
Yeah, because your backlights, I like a really, and that's a personal preference, but I like a really intense backlight because I like that separation, but some people don't like really intense backlight. Okay, so that's the 250. So this is we're going to look at the 500 next, and again, open this up. Let me swing this in the back. All right, so the 500 is also folded up nicely. So the first thing you'll notice is it has a handle, but in order to get it into the light kit, the handle's folded up. So to fold it down, we're just pulling it out. Now our handle is in the correct position. It also has a connection, I don't know, a thing for to set it on the light stand. But again, this is spun up in order to get it to fit in the case. So we kind of have to spin that down. And there is no loosen for that. So, and you can always tell, I don't know if you can see this, Jamie, but see there's a bar there. Can you see that bar?
Yes.
So there's a bar there.
Okay, good.
Now you might not be able to get that close. It's got that's got a good macro, but it's really kind of not a lot of light in here. Kind of a low light situation. But you notice here it's much deeper. And that's where the post goes, the deeper side of that. And again, tighten it down. Now, something to mention before I'm going to raise this up a little bit. I am bad to raise lights up like this. Jim doesn't like that. Why doesn't Jim like that?
He wants you to go from the bottom part and start, because he said it's
Why?
stay
Right, because you'll notice that these posts get smaller as we go up. So when you're raising a light, you really should use the strongest post first and raise it up like this. The only exception that I believe is to that rule is when you get to about here and you know that you're going to raise it all the way up. I don't have any problem raising this first just because it's a lot easier than trying to raise that up. Yeah. So, yeah. And this is definitely not, I mean, it's a little jiggly, so you have to be careful with these lights. So I'm going to bring it back down so we can look at this light. Okay. Again, we have the barn doors. The smaller ones go in first, the bigger ones go in last, and it also kind of helps protect the light. This is a reflector light, but there is a screen on the front of it, and what is that screen called?
Scrim.
A scrim. And what's the purpose of a scrim?
It's to make the light more diffused and
Yeah, it softens the light a little bit. Supposedly it takes the intensity down on it. Scrim, S-C-R-I-M. This also has a flood spot control. See it right there? The little handle moves up and down. That spot, that's flood. If you look at the light bulb, you'll notice that it moves. Can you see that, Jamie?
Yeah.
When we move it to flood spot, you see that? All right, the other thing that all these lights have is the ability to add a gel frame to it, and I'm just going to show you how to do it on the 500 because it's fairly easy to do. This goes up like that, and you'll see it's got a little hole here. Usually the gel frames are kept in the back here. So this is a gel frame. And I'm not stopping till 9:30. I'm just telling you that. So here's a gel frame. Fold it out like that. And it goes through here. Then you can tighten it down with that. And you can attach a variety of gels or diffusion to it. So while we have this out, let's take a look-see. Notice we got two pieces of blue here. Do you guys see the blue? See any difference between the two blues?
one's darker.
Okay. Besides the fact that one's wrinkly and one's not, is there any difference in the color?
Yes.
What's the difference?
Well, that one, looking at it from an angle like this, looks green mostly. But no, that one's lighter.
That one's just a
This one's lighter. Yeah. So these are blue gels to correct our incandescent lights to daylight. So remember, daylight is what color? Blue. What number? What Kelvin is it?
52.
5600. Yeah, so 5600. So this would be considered full blue. So this would correct to turn it full blue. Do you think it cuts down on the amount of light coming out of the light fixture?
A little bit.
Yeah, it does. And this is also blue, but it's I'm thinking either a half or a quarter blue. So if it's a really, really, really cloudy day, it tends to be more blue outside. The more sunny it is, the less blue it is. So you just kind of have to experiment with these. I usually try to use the least amount just because we don't have the lights aren't very intense. If you put this on the 250, you're going to barely get light out of it because it really does cut a lot of light down. This full blue you'd use for really cloudy days. This blue, yeah, the more cloudy it is, the bluer it is. So I try to use this most of the time, and definitely this would really take a lot of light out of that 250. And then this is, anybody know what this is called?
Wax paper.
It's called diffusion. And diffusion diffuses the light, which means that it spreads the light out, but it also cuts down the amount of light coming out of the light fixture. this seem pretty opaque? Yeah, so this cuts a lot of light down. This is, I believe, probably full diffusion. So notice if I, yeah, this one is a little bit thinner. So the heavier the diffusion paper, the more light you're going to cut down. So again, you probably wouldn't want to use something like this on the 250 because you're going to cut essentially just about all the light out of it because it basically cuts about half light out.
Which one, the full?
The full, yeah,
Which one of the blues would you use in the 250?
the lighter one,
The lighter? Okay.
yeah. And so both these light kits, and this is to correct an incandescent light to 5600 light. So if, for example, you were shooting in the lobby out there in this building, you know, you might be able to get light from every, you know, you might be using the sunlight to illuminate their face, and it looks great, but you want a backlight. You can't just use a backlight naked without the correction on it, or you're going to have like an orange cast to their head. All right. The last little piece here that you could also use with the gel frame, this is really used as kind of a flag. And a flag means you're just taking light out of, completely out, like no light's going to go through it. And if you feel this. See, it's real thick. It's like almost like aluminum foil, which is nice because you can fold it and get it to be where you want it to be. So the example that I use for this is, let's say that we're shooting a really dark-skinned man or woman, and they decided to wear a white shirt. You're going to need a lot of light on their face, but you're not going to want any light on their shirt, or very little light. So in that case, you might want to flag out part of your light so that you don't get light on their shirt, but you do get light on their face. And so you might want to attach this. Once you have this attached, you may decide to fold a little bit over, you know, so you can really control the direction or the amount of light that's falling on something with this. All right, last light. Both the most useful and least useful light. The most useful and least useful. That's the TOTA.
So it's its own paradox.
Yes, its own paradox. All right. So, I don't know if I mentioned this, because we can't really do it in the other two lights, but we can easily do it in this light, and that is, don't touch the lamp, which means the little light bulb that's in there. If you touch it and you get oil on it, what's going to happen is that oil is going to sizzle, and then it's going to blow up the light because it actually weakens the lamp glass, basically what you do. So don't touch the light, which it's a little bit of a challenge with this when you're opening up the barn doors because the lamp is right there. So the way this works is these barn doors close, and so when you open them, eventually they get caught on this little latch. So it's just a little metal piece that gets caught on that latch. Once it's opened, now I can't close it. So if I push on this, it's not going to close. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and open up both these barn doors, which really creates a reflector for it. Those barn doors aren't doing much in controlling the light. Y'all agree with that? It's pretty much going to go where it's going to go. Same sort of thing where it has a connector for the light stand. And the only way that this fits in is this has to be closed. It has to be all the way screwed in. So before you can put it on the light stand, you got to unscrew it. All right. Put the light stand. This does not have any kind of spot or flood controls. So what you get is what you get. And this is 750 watts, so it's a lot of light. And it covers a really big area because it's got that long lamp on it, so it's going to cover a whole bunch of area. So you can do two things with this. You can do three things with it, but I'm going to not recommend the one thing. It comes with a scrim. The scrim fits on it by just kind of squeezing it in, and it fits in. Whoop. It fits, does it, Carolyn? In here. There we go. So it fits in there. There's one problem with this. This is 750 watts, and that little screen is really close to the lamp. And so what happens when we're using this? It burns it. It smokes. It smells bad, and it doesn't really cut that much of the light off. So I am not a fan of this. I do not use it. I used it when we first got it, and then realized that it's supposed to sit out further, but you can't keep it out. It just won't. It constantly wants to suck down to the light. So I'm going to take the scrim off. What? What? Oh. And the one thing that which I was bad to do, if you're taking this off, don't squeeze here. Yeah, you got to squeeze on the metal pieces. They're the pieces that you want to squeeze onto, not onto the screen. So, what I think works lovely with the Toda is either the gel frame, which do y'all see where the gel frame might fit? Right in here. Or we also have an umbrella. And so the umbrella, which can be used on any of the lights, fits in here. So y'all see this? And you see it's got a round tip on it, so it's going to fit in there, and you got to make sure this is loosened up. Oh, sorry. Then now once you have the umbrella on it, if I am shooting towards the camera, is this the right way to have the light? No, you got to turn it around. And what's going to happen is this light is going to reflect off of the umbrella, and yeah, it cuts the light in a half. So it goes from 750 to
325.
yeah. So it really makes it a lot less intense.
Somebody's got some mass skills.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So and the other thing is there's always like a hot spot, so it's not gonna throw it way out. So when you're moving this around, you might be able to see where it eventually will actually illuminate the face. All right, those are these three light kits. We will look at the other soft boxes and light kits on Thursday. Right? Today's Tuesday. Yes. Yes. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for recording.